Hello, welcome to a new episode of What Are You Selling? We're in the season of interviewing authors as we've been doing lots on the channel at the moment because it's the holidays and everyone is got stuff on the way, all the stuff on the way out. Today with me is Rich Blecher, who has got congratulations because you have a brand new book that has just been released.
Yes, thank you, David.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's tis the season for everyone to be merry and buy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we're recording this just before Christmas, so this will probably be coming out on the 28th or 29th when you listen to this. So the drinking has yet to start for me. I don't know about you, but after tonight, going off to do the Christmas shop, the food shopping tonight, and then the celebration start tomorrow. I don't know how do
Yeah.
you is that the same for yourself?
Well, we've been shopping all week for food. We have the whole family coming over and friends, and we just play games during the day. You had hors d'oeuvres, and we got little gifts that we get for everyone for the little games that we play with for kids and the adults, and it gets to be pretty fun through the night, day, and evening.
Excellent, excellent. It's a great time. Yeah, it's nice that it's we're not quite there yet, but it's nice that it's a little bit more as it used to be this year. Because like last year it was like we're in a bubble the entire
Yeah.
like Christmas. So it's nice to have a few people about. And obviously this year you've got a book to promote as well. So I'm sure have you got copies of it yourself yet? Have they arrived?
I do.
Excellent.
Zima, it's kind of backwards in the review in the video, but it's XMA. I'm pretty proud of it actually.
Yeah, you should be. I mean, just hold that one up again for us if you want to. There, it's a lovely hardback as well.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. It's that nice glossy finish as well, which is always a nice one for the hardbacks.
Yeah, it turned out really, really well. I was the cover designer did a fantastic job.
Hmm.
I paid a little bit extra, but what he did, he gave me like four options to choose from, and I had my team of assessors who picked out the best core view, and then we asked him to change this, do this, and he was able to accommodate different things. And the next step, we refined it further and further and further, and this was the end result. And I think it's pretty, kick-ass cover.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. So the question is, do you have multiple copies of it that you're just going to be strategically leaving them around the place when all your guests come over Christmas?
I've got, funny you should say that. I have some just sitting up on tables and on shelves already, and I've given some out. I bought I bought 100 books, of which some I've sold already privately, and some I've given out, given the hardcover out to those who helped me with putting it together and writing it. I had a great team, not really a team, but a lot of great people to help give me ideas, help with the scope, even naming. I'd get everyone together and for a beer call and all right, we need to work on some names. Hey, here's the character, which is what they're like, and they just come up with a list of names and we pick one. And it got to be pretty fun.
Yeah, I was reading the author Robin Hobb, who let's hope we're both as successful as she is within a few years. That would be great. I was reading she was on Twitter recently enough talking about naming characters, and she said she was like, "This is the way that I do it." She goes into Starbucks. And she said that the masks help a lot more now because when they ask what the name is, she just mumbles something. And then when she goes to get the food, whatever's written on there, she's like, "Well, that's the new name to use." So
Right.
if it works for Robin Hobb, it will work for the rest of us. So is this your first book?
It is. It is. And actually, I wasn't even an avid reader. Um, you know, when I grew up, there was no such thing as ADHD. And, my oldest child having it on me, that I probably did when I was young also, because I had a hard time reading books and retaining what I read. And so I was discouraged from reading books and much less writing. I think actually as I grew up, my teachers in school gave me C's out of pity because I just wasn't paying attention to, how to
Yeah.
write.
Yeah.
But as I started into this book, I let my imagination run wild with notes, and I started writing and writing and writing, and I had it's kind of started off with the environment of where we're at today. And I started about 3 years ago. It'd be great to live on a new planet. Okay, so what would this planet be called? We started coming up with different names, and then I started looking at where's the most habitable planet, the closest to us, and Proxima Centauri is the I think the solar system. And so I just extrapolated the XIMA from Proxima and came up with a new planet for the book. And I think it turned out really well.
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned about ADHD and stuff you get from the kids. Because I interview a lot of authors because I'm one too, and I enjoy talking to other authors to kind of see what the process is and like what their inspiration was and just how they work and everything. And it's funny how many people I come across that say, yeah, I have ADHD, right? And it's like, and it's because a lot of it is they want to write a book because of the frustration. I think a lot of time is of not being able to sit down and get and be able to complete something.
Right.
So it's like I want to be able to do this. Was that something that was driving you, where it was like I just have this idea that I need to get out of my head?
I think in part it was because there's numerous times where I got distracted to do something else.
Right.
I have those friends to say, "Hey, how's the book coming along?" And I come back to it, and then it dawned on me that it's those friends and family that were inspirational for me, and they kept me going, kept me motivated. And I think that was the key to have that group incentive to finish it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's probably the key that most ADHD people should key in on how to best finish something. It's getting that friends network or family network to help motivate you.
And what better motivation now? Because this year, I presume you've seen a lot of your friends and family, and they'll say, "How's the writing going? How's the book going?" It's like, well, here it is. Here it is completed. Um, I remember my first book when I received it, and I don't think I gave myself enough time to really kind of like sit with it and just be like, this is a great achievement, because it is a great achievement to finish something. Did you allow yourself that time to kind of just look at the book and just kind of study it, have a little drink, and just think, well, this is a journey and reflect on the journey that you've been on? Or were you like me and was like, just gonna write the next thing and just that's that?
Yeah, when I opened the box, I pulled the first one out, opened the wrapper like it was Christmas already, and literally, like you said, I was just in awe, just holding it and opening it up to see the print there, to see the cover. I mean, I just slowly turned the book around, felt it. I'm just feeling it was just inspirational to myself that I accomplished such a thing. And going back to the ADHD part, my son, he got me into reading more sci-fi, but he was also, hey, what did you think about this part? What did you think about that part? And he encouraged me to continue reading it and retain the knowledge so we could have the dialogue, and that was fun. But when I came to him helping me write this book, it was pretty much, yeah, Dad, will probably end up like the other projects in the garage. So he didn't give me much support until it was done and printed, and he read it a few weeks ago on a plane ride, and he comes back home and says, "Holy cow, this is like a real novel." I'm like, "Well, yeah, what do you think I was doing all this time?" So
Yeah.
he was the first to give me a review on Amazon. It turned out really well. He was pretty surprised. In fact, he wants to help me with the sequel.
Yeah, well, when you've done one, you've got to do more. It's like a tattoo. way more painful writing a book. It's like once you've done one, you can't stop. Just
Right.
have to have more and more and more. But that's the funny thing with family, isn't it? When uh, like my wife has not read any of my stuff. She won't read it. Right? She just won't read any of it. My son is too young. He's just turned 4. But he is the reason why I started, because I was like, because I've kind of studied film at university, and I wanted to do different things and ended up doing something that I never wanted to do. And then when he was born, I was kind of like, I'd love to have something to show him when he's older. Say, look, Dad actually did something with his life, right?
Right.
So that's why I got into that. So when he's older, but then my sister-in-law has read all my stuff, and she is like always demanding more, which is great. But that's the first thing that she also said. I sent her a book before. Well, it's actually a book's not been published yet, but it's the first one that I wrote, and it's kind of in the process of coming out. And she was like, "This is like a real story." I was like, "Yeah, it is." Like,
Right.
it's like surprised. It's like, well, that's what I've been. That's what I've been doing. So you're not. You said before you're not much of an avid reader. Are you a movie guy or a TV show guy?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and in fact, that's how I learn in classrooms better is the visual seeing an instructor teach, and I've never big on learning by reading unless it's a do it yourself, and I had a drive to figure out how to fix a faucet or something.
yeah,
But again, it wasn't until my son got me into reading some of the books he's read so he can have a dialogue with me on them. And I think that was a key piece as well, which got me hooked into when I was writing, the group of friends helped be part of it with me. And I'd have like I said, beer call or wine. They all come around and say, okay, here's where I'm kind of thinking about for the plot to go. What do you think? And they gave me ideas on how to move forward. And I would pick one and go with it. And it
yeah.
helped out a lot. I'll definitely use my son to, or not use him per se, but allow him to help me with the sequel. I think if he's interested.
Yeah, sounding board, like a beta reader kind of
Right,
thing. Yeah, yeah, because
right,
they're important. They're important to have because you're so close to the story and to the characters. Sometimes you need that other person to kind of look at it and say, this works, this doesn't work. I'd like to see more of this, perhaps, which is something that could be surprising sometimes. I don't know if that's what happened with your book, where people have been like, yeah, I'd like to see more of this thing, which is something that you weren't that focused on. I don't know if you've come across that yourself.
I did, and or they would say, no, you get rid of this part,
Right.
or why can't this person be more of this type of character,
Yeah.
or this person seems too mean. They shouldn't be so mean. It's like so yeah, they give me little pointers with that, and then when it finally goes to the editor, there's just more. It's more developed
Yeah.
during the developmental editing.
Sure. And it gives you a little bit of a trial run for what an editor's going to do with it, because I think when I first got into the kind of the writing world, there's a lot of kind of talk about editors, and for people that are kind of new, they just think they're just going to get them and correct your spelling and grammar, but it's a lot more in depth than that. How was your process with editing your book?
So to be honest, when I gave it to the editor, it was a mess. It was my first to doing anything. She usually charged a certain fee and said, "Is this your first book?" I was like, "Yes." And so she actually offered, I think it was for like a extra half a cent, or yeah, extra half a cent a word or something like that. It wasn't much. She offered to coach me, and so she would she'd do the editing, but then have extensive comments on the side to the rationale as to why.
Yeah.
And then she had a pretty extensive report, like 20-page report that says, need to focus on this. What are you trying to get at here? You want more emphasis with this area. Gave me a lot of, don't do this, don't use this word 1,000 times, don't use And it was very helpful. And I recommend that to anybody who's just starting out, is try to get some type of coaching like that.
Yeah, yeah, a real development of your work. So why don't you tell us, for the people that are watching on YouTube and listening on Spotify or Apple Music, and if it's your first time on the channel, people that are watching or listening, please do subscribe. We have more author interviews, we have reviews, we have live readings. We also have a Wheel of Time show called Easing the Reader, which is focused on the books and the TV show. So do check those out. But Rich, why don't you tell everyone about Zima, the book, and what it's about, and why people should put it onto their should put it on next on their to be read pile.
Well, I think many people can relate to the book in that, it's the future, obviously, and it's a dystopian environment whereby the Earth realizes there's a climate issue and life on Earth for humans is limited. So they're looking at different approaches on where can we go, perhaps another planet, perhaps the Mars, perhaps wherever. In the meantime, there's a lot of organizations set up that want to, destroy our life today to save the Earth. They start as simple protesters that move to more militants, creating almost a civil war across the Earth. And it's unbearable as far as the amount of killing and destruction, and it just creates a very bad environment. Well, they stumble on another planet, Zima, and they start shuttling people to Zima, but they highlight it in a manner it's someplace for everyone to go to, a Shangri-La, if you will.
Right.
Young Zach, he lives on this compound with his father, who works as a scientist, and well, he happened to invent something that was revolutionary for the growth of young boys and girls, and how they would grow physically and mentally, and their increased dexterity and constitution. His parents get killed because they're trying to find this thing that he absolutely hid in his son's arm, to hide it from those who are wishing to come after him for it. And anyway, Zach loses his parents. He moves on. He's trying to hide. He's trying to do a lot of things. They find him somewhere, and there's a shuttle that's about to depart for Zima, and he smuggles his way on it. But he finds out that he lands in, and they enslave him because he was set up before the trip took place. And him and his girlfriend are trapped there, enslaved, and he has to learn to fight. It's gladiator style, and that's what they do for entertainment on Zima. Finds out that it's completely not the world that he grew up to believe it was, and now he has to figure out how to survive. General Tanya Schuyler, who happened to be, I don't want to give too much of the book away, but happened to be someone who was looking for him, finds him, actually buys him from the enslaver, and trains him in a certain method of fighting that he helps clean the planet of Zima, but he can't find his girlfriend, who there's another purpose for why they took her, but they took her back to Earth, and he got taken back to Earth as well.
Okay.
So there's a huge battle to save Earth and eliminate the nefarious actors on Earth, and they do so miraculously. And he's sent back to Zima to be the president of Zima to help create more peace there. But in the sequel, he's going to find out there's a lot more that went on behind the scenes that he wasn't aware of, and he has to go back to Earth to fix it.
Okay, sounds pretty epic. Lots of intrigue going on there. So you mentioned a sequel. How many? Is this a series? Do you envisage multiple sequels to this, or?
So I initially thought of one sequel, and that's why when I was at the end of book one, Zima, that had ideas for how it could continue. And it's almost 300 pages, the first book. And so I left the transition for it to continue. I'm only like 26,000 words into the sequel. And as I'm going through that, I have notes on how I'd like to play out, but realize so I've got a plan for at least 3 books.
Excellent. And so when's the time scale of when you're looking for the sequel? Is it 2022 is all about, because the book's only just come out, so is 2022 all about promoting this one, getting that readership, and then looking for the second one maybe 2023?
I think so. I think I'd like to try to get the sequel out by Christmas of next year.
Okay. Yeah.
And especially with as fast as I'm writing, I'm putting out like 3,000 to 5,000 words a day.
Wow.
When I to sit down, and it's going pretty well.
Excellent. So for everyone that's watching and listening, if they want to keep up to date with, obviously the book is available on Amazon, and all of the links for everything will be below in the show notes for people that are watching and listening. But where's the best kind of places to kind of keep up to date with yourself and with your work?
So I'm still working on that. Right now I just have my Facebook. I created a page for it, and I'm still trying to, building a website isn't cheap to make it to promote yourself. So I'm trying to see what type of response I get, and if I can get a decent response, then I can actually justify the cost to create a website and promote it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm just feeling that out, but it is on Amazon right now, and it's on it's on the Rich Blecher Facebook page. I've got a page for the book itself.
Excellent. Great stuff.
Just to promote it a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's the whole game, isn't it? Promotion is probably 90% of book writing.
Right.
Well, Rich, thank you so much for coming onto the show and talking to us about your work, and congratulations again for releasing your first book, and the very best of luck with it.
Thank you for the podcast. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. And everyone who's watching at home or listening, thanks for staying with us till the end, and we'll see you next time.